Alright, what's going on, y'all? Welcome back to another video on the channel. I still haven't thought of a good channel name, that's why I haven't changed it. But let's get into today's video. As you can tell from the title, my engine blew up again. Second time. Well, I guess this time it blew up for real. So cylinder 3 is missing a rod cap, and that rod cap is outside the engine. I placed it somewhere. I'm not even sure where I put it. Oh, it's right here actually. So yeah, this is a rod cap for cylinder 3. And since it's outside the engine, you know the block is windowed. How it happened, I'm not even sure. When it happened was my first time being back at the track, which is the worst time for anything to blow up because I didn't even get to drift the car that much. I drove it for an hour and a half, and it was less than an hour and a half, maybe like an hour and 15 minutes I was there, and it happened on backtrack. So sucks. I know my mom does not like me saying this, but I would just say like it's just my luck. Things just happen to me, and I just gotta roll with the punches. I'm trying to have a new look on things because I just can't keep feeling bad for myself. So we're just gonna go with that. If things happen, it is what it is. We're gonna call it a day. So with that being said, I needed a new block, and 14-15 blocks are very difficult to find. I don't know why. Maybe people just want to keep theirs. Seems like that is definitely the case. But I've hit up 5 or so people, and majority of the time they just wanted to keep it, and other times it was just way too overpriced. So this engine is toast, and I picked up another one yesterday. So this one came from a guy named AJ in Connecticut. He doesn't know what happened to it. He thinks one of the cylinders lost compression and it was smoking a lot. I'm under the impression that it's a head gasket. He thinks piston rings, but that kind of doesn't make sense to me. The reason why it doesn't have any compression, 100%, I'm leaning towards head gasket. So what I'm gonna do today is I'm gonna take all the accessories off, and then I'm gonna make it a long block until I'm ready to pull the valve cover off. I might do that today actually, just check underneath, see everything is good. What I really needed this for was the block, because the head on my engine is good and I have the valve springs and stuff in there. So I'm just gonna take the accessories off and then pull the valve cover, make sure the valve cover is good. Beyond that, I'm going to pull the head off. If it is a head gasket, is what I'm thinking, and the block looks good, I'll just bring the head to get cleaned and resurfaced at the local machine shop. Then I'll get a new head gasket and head studs, and I'll put this back on. I think that's the best option for me, especially cost-wise. I know it's not built, but I'm gonna strip it down. I'm gonna clean whatever I can clean, replace any RTV or any gaskets necessary, throw it back in. That's if it's good. Since I have to pull the oil pump off to get rid of all this nasty RTV, I'm going to inspect the rod caps, see if there's any bearing wear. Like, I'm wiggle it side to side. If it moves around a lot, that means more than likely it was rod knock. If it doesn't, I'm gonna just run with that. If I can get a season out of this engine while I build something on the side, I'll be extremely grateful. That's all. That's what I'm asking for. In the meantime, there's some stuff on this engine that I can try to sell to at least recoup some of my money back because I don't use it. And there's other things that I'm gonna keep. So for example, AC compressor is good for somebody who has AC in their car and their compressor just goes bad. I'm not sure how often that happens, but I could sell that. Power steering pump I'm going to keep just to have a spare just in case. Turbo setup, I have my own turbo setup, so I don't need this one. CAS, I have 5.0 Ignite cam trigger kit, so I don't need that. This is the OEM fan clutch. I'm gonna keep this just in case. I also have a new another VCT gear and a VCT solenoid. Definitely keeping that because I don't know if it'll ever fail. IAC I'm gonna keep as well. It has this oil filter adapter for an oil cooler. I would like an oil cooler, so maybe if I can clean this, but I also want my oil filter relocated because it's difficult to get to it with the tubs in my bay. So I'm debating on what I'm gonna do with that. Other than that, spare alternator, which is good. This is a lightweight pulley, which I'm never gonna use because it's not harmonically balanced. So I doubt anybody would want that, but if they do, I guess I could sell it to them for cheap. But for the most part, everything looks pretty good. So coil pack harness, coil packs, that I don't need because I run R8 coils on mine. So for the most part, there's stuff that I can get rid of on here, simplify it, and we'll be good from there. Alright, as I continue to dissect this engine, I realized this is not a DET 15 engine. And a prime example is this oil feed line. So NA engines don't have oil feed ports on the exhaust side. So what people do to make a NAT setup is they put an oil filter housing on, and then they put fittings to allow oil pressure to go to the turbo. Typically on a DET block, right here would be a hole where the feed for the oil would be. So feed here and it goes straight to the turbo, but it doesn't have that. So this is definitely an NA engine, and somebody added an S15 turbo to it. I feel like I should have realized that when we picked it up because of this oil feed line, but I don't think I was. There was a lot of lines, like those two lines. There was another fitting here, so I don't think I was like paying attention too much to it. And yeah, ultimately, I can't say I'm entirely disappointed because I should have expected something like this. So yeah, DET also has a black valve cover, so that's probably what really threw me off. NA doesn't have a color for the valve cover, so I don't know. I really do not know. All right, so I wouldn't say it's a fumble entirely because the blocks are similar. They're not the same, they're similar. And what the difference is that oil feed. Also, in each cylinders on the DET block, there's oil squirters that shoot up oil underneath the piston, so it helps coat the cylinder walls, helps cool down the piston. That's something that would need to be done if I plan on beating the hell out of this engine, because that's what the goal is. The drifting is very aggressive on engines, and if it can't hold up to it, it's gonna blow again, and then I'm gonna be back to square one. So if I can get this to work even for a season, I'm gonna focus on building another engine. And if this could just be a simple, cheap, reliable build, I know reliable, I'm just throwing that word out there, wishful thinking, I guess. If it can just be that, then I'll be good with it. I definitely think I need to do at least pistons, rods, and bearings in here, because NA motors have higher compression, but I'm pretty sure the rods are weaker. And I don't want another window in this block. So I gotta see what my options are. Wow. All 5 of the heat shield bolts came off without a problem. I've never experienced that in my life. Alright, so today I'm going to be continuing the disassembly of the S15 SR. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this valve cover off, look at the cams, make sure everything is good, and then I'm going to start taking the cams out. The chain and all that stuff really doesn't matter because the oil pump is going to come off anyway, so I'm not really worried about that. But I want to make sure I organize everything. That way when it's getting put back together, I know exactly what goes for. So I bought myself 100 count sandwich bags like I did when Tom was assembling my engine. And I'm going to make sure that I notate everything. Like if this is intake bolts, this is exhaust, and caps, the rockers, all of that. So I'm gonna make sure that's on point. That way, when it's time for assembly, it's just quick and easy. So let's start. If there was wondering why I'm using a gun, it's just gonna be a lot faster. I'm debating on if I want to get it powder coated. Powder coat is an added expense, and aesthetics aren't really essential. I had Ryan paint that other valve cover. He did a great job. I feel like that valve cover belongs with that engine, and since that engine is blowing up, I want to keep that valve cover for like sentimental reasons. Again, I'm not too sure about what I'm gonna do. I would like to have Ryan sign that valve cover and put it on the wall. There we go. All right, so everything looks pretty good under here, which is fantastic news. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that's a stock thing or what. No idea. But VCT gear looks good. Everything looks pretty good. So now what's next is, like I said, I'm going to be taking the cams out. So in order to do that, I'm gonna take the tensioner off. I'm gonna take the cast out. Once I take those two things out, the chain itself should be loose, and then I'm gonna work on the caps. And then once we're done with that, the head pretty much would be good to pull. We'll just need to work on all the little fasteners and stuff to get off. So yeah, let's keep going. The cast I won't be needing because I run a cam trigger kit. So if anyone needs this, hit your boy. Wow, this water pump looks pretty new. Inside the engine looks pretty good. Alright, so I apologize if it's a little loud in here. Got the heat going because it was way too cold when I was trying to do this, and once my hands get cold, that's it for me. So I took a lot of the miscellaneous bolts and stuff off. Like usually I leave the bolts in the block just so I remember where they go. But I just took these out and I labeled them. This is for the cast. These 4 are for the upper water neck. I left the exhaust manifold stuff on, but I'm gonna take them off soon. There was a bolt in the back of the head for grounding of the ignition coils. There was the intake manifold, the lower intake manifold hardware that was still in. I also took off the motor mount for this side. In order for me to take out the motor mount bracket and the actual mount itself, I have to remove this. And this is actually a really cool piece, which more than likely I'm gonna keep. If I don't keep it, I'm gonna sell it. And I need to take this off, but this filter is fighting me. Legit, I took my belt off and tried to do the belt method to get it off. I can't, so what I might do is I might poke a hole in it and then get it to twist like that. But that kind of ruins the filter, and if I wanted to cut it open and see what was going on, I wouldn't be able to. But I guess that's really not a big deal. But once this comes off, I can take the motor mount off. This is actually a really cool piece, and I was like, wow, this is Gretty, by the way. So let me see if I can get something to clean that off to show you. Alright, well, I'll try to show you guys, but you see the EX? So this is a Gretty piece, so it's usually GREX, right? So I was like, okay. And then I came, when I took the valve cover off, I looked and I was like, wait, no. And then I come back here and I look again, it says 264. Right, so there are Gretty stage 1 cams in this engine, and both of them, because like this also has 264 on it too. See, so Gretty 264 cams in this engine, so that's pretty cool. Was not expecting that at all. But also, this is no longer usable because I don't know what the Japanese people be doing, but somebody drilled and tapped into the side of this oil block. I don't know why they didn't just do it in this other section here. I don't know, bro. That don't make no sense to me. So this joint is pretty much clapped out. That's why there was so much silicone over here with the sensor, is because it was never supposed to be like that. So I don't know, that's crazy to me. I don't even know why anybody would like try and do that or whatever. Why don't you just use that? I don't know. It didn't make any sense. But so far, this could potentially be something good. I just need to get the head off. And Tom said that he will come help me with that tomorrow, because he said everything has to be at top dead center and all that stuff. And I kind of don't want to mess it up. Even though I don't know how much worse it can get. Probably maybe bend the valve or something like that. But yeah, I'm gonna keep fighting with this to try and get this off. Because I think soon as I get this off, there has to be like a nut or something that locks this on. Once I get this off, then that means I could take everything else off, and it should be ready for him to disassemble tomorrow. Just as I suspected, there is a nut right there. So taking that off, and this whole thing should come off. Alright, so I've had this engine for a little while now, and I've never checked to see if there was any oil in it. From the dipstick, it looks pretty empty, but I'm gonna just crack open the oil drain plug and see if there's any fluid in there. That way it'll make Tom's life a lot easier for tomorrow. Let's see if there's something in there. I don't know. I know there was some like light surface rust, like it came off with my finger on the cams themselves, because I guess this engine has been sitting there for a while. So I'm just gonna do that, see what happens. A lot more than anticipated, actually. Alright, so the oil has been drained. It had a significant amount of oil in it, and also I don't see any like glitter in the oil. Don't see anything really. Maybe a little bit, I don't know, can't really tell. On camera it looks like there is more than me looking at it, so I have no idea. Anyways, this is what the engine is going to look like for when Tom comes to disassemble it. Full long block minus the valve cover. The valve cover is obviously sitting on the hood. So yeah, this is what it's going to look like. Now that it has no oil in it, it definitely has to go to machine shop regardless, because all of this RTV on the oil pump, like the timing cover, looks atrocious. And I don't know if you could see from the inside. Yeah, it's too dark. Let me see if I can get my phone. Like you can see all that red, all of that is RTV. So that's no bueno. It has to come apart. Other than that, other than it being filthy, it doesn't look bad. It looks pretty good, and it has cans. That's pretty crazy. Like all the rock arms are good. No shims missing that I can see. So looks pretty good. I'm definitely feeling more optimistic about this now. But before, you know, I was definitely bummed. Other than that, I can't pull the engine out of this car because Nick's car is too close. So I pretty much just have to wait until he's done. I need to like undo the drive shaft and all of that other stuff, drain the coolant, and in order for me to do that I have to move it up because it's too far against the workbench. So I think I got a decent amount done. What I'm gonna do is I work tomorrow, so I'm gonna lay out all the Ziploc bags for Tom. So intake 1 through 5, exhaust 1 through 5. And then I'm gonna put timing, head hardware, all of that stuff. I'm gonna have everything laid out, so just in case I'm not here when he starts, everything is already organized for him. And that way, he could do what he gotta do and not have to worry about me, basically. So, yeah. Not sure if I'm gonna end it here or not, but I guess we'll find out in the next couple of clips. But if I do, thanks for watching. I definitely appreciate it. Just stay updated.